All right, we should be all good to go. I apologize. I was dealing with a pretty heavy fever out of nowhere yesterday. So if I sound weird or if I'm really stopped up, that's why. Um, but at least luckily I'm not dealing with that. Here, let me go ahead and mute that. I'm just gonna go through, cliff notes of stuff because I mean we're 9 hours away from the start of the race. I mean, people can listen to this at 2x. I doubt there'll be a lot of you guys here on a Saturday morning. But when we're looking at this race from a DFS standpoint, I'm not concerned about tire wear at all. I mentioned this in the Xfinity video yesterday that um, the fact that everybody has already experienced what happened in the spring, so teams are already prepared for that. Two, the temperature isn't going to be nearly as cold as it was. Thirdly, yes, sure, there's tire wear, but now that everybody's aware of what's going on, it's not going to matter. If everybody has tire wear, nobody has tire wear. It's so important, it doesn't matter. So please do not ask me about what about the tires, what about tire wear. I'm not even including that stuff in anything at all. I believe that's just a waste of time trying to put any effort into that past like thinking of the tire wear and everything. Where we're at right now is now luckily we had nearly everybody run 30 laps, so ideally we can just look and see where people are in terms of speed, and we shouldn't see a lot of variances to and from what is on the screen. Now I have it currently ranked right now at 25 over the 30, just so we can very easily see where people are, but for the most part I'm going to rely off of this in comparison to the starting grid. Now, when we're looking at a race like this to where we have so many laps, 500 laps in this race, and the amount of people starting up front, we'll come back to this screen in a second. Projections, honestly, really do not matter for these top 9 guys, these top 10 guys. And what I mean by that is Bowman at 7,600. Okay, real chance Bowman can lead, at least, 41 laps or so and get 20 fast laps in this race. That would not be out of the range of possibilities. Okay, he does that. He's right around 53 points, and that's a 7x. He's locked in. Okay, Larson, Byron, Truex, Bell, Hamlin. There's a real chance between these guys. Let's go ahead and there's a real chance between Larson, Byron, Truex, Bell, and Hamlin. We have at least two of these guys lead 130 laps. Okay, so when we start looking at projections and stuff, it literally doesn't matter because when you're playing somebody up here and you're playing these guys, they are absolutely where it's absolutely needed that they're going to lead laps in this race. Okay, realistically, we see several drivers lead over 140 laps in this race. For the most part, right now, I think that would be the Hendrick Brigade as the most likely people to do that. Secondly, the Toyota guys secondly would be the Toyota drivers up here. Now, with that said, when I'm looking at my projections and stuff, yet again, I don't use a mean projection. I just use one number. So, right now, I have Larson as my highest projected guy on the slate with 94 points and stuff. And that's him with 130 laps led, 45 fast laps, and just calling it there. Anything more than that would just be useless. Now, I do want to bring up the fact that when you start looking at lineups like that, here, I'll even show this. These are my highest projected lineups right now. And I am not entirely sure how aggressive I want to be here because I think this race is, let's go ahead and just move this here. These are the projections, right? My projection. And when I sort them by highest projected lineups or highest projected score, you see Larson, Bell, Byron, and Alex all show up because these guys are projected to score in these ranges. I don't think I'm going to play any of these lineups that have 4 in the top 6. That's why I'm not entirely worried about showing them here because I am most likely going to be doing a lot of removing one driver or 2 drivers and whatnot and building with more guys who are somewhat viable in the place differential range in terms of Chris Buescher, in terms of Tyler Reddick, in terms of Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Logano, Keselowski. I think this is a race to where, yes, I have my projections and everything, but I'm probably not going to follow the highest projected ones because it's just going to throw in, you know, basically, as many guys up front as possible because they are projected to lead the most amount of laps. Now, the reason I explain that is because like I can see what I'm looking at in terms of like, playing four guys on top 10 or whatever. I just don't think that's going to really happen. I think it's going to be much more so I have Byron for like 53 points today. I don't think Byron leads a lot in this race. I really don't. Projections my stuff would lean towards that, but like I have Byron today finishing fifth with like 28 laps led, 21 fast laps. I think that's a bogus projection. I think he either leads nothing or leads like 130 laps. So like the projection doesn't even matter in that sense. I've been statistically bad at Bristol. This is probably my worst track for DFS of just how I've just failed to build in any efficient manner whatsoever. But where I'm at here, like I think Bowman's a pretty good play. I was gonna say lock, but I mean the fucking race is gonna be like 5 hours long. Like we can have guys barely touch the wall and break, toe links and stuff to take anybody else out. But I think Bowman and Larson are probably the two best plays on the slate. And Bowman is just there based on his price tag. The fact that he most likely runs in the top 10 all day, even if he doesn't lead a good portion of the race to start off with, I think Bowman and Larson are your best plays. I also want to reiterate that when we go to short tracks and we go to a place like this with as many laps or this many laps, you really want to punt. You want to absolutely try and fit in as many people as possible. So when we start looking at that, we start viewing the bottom part of this race or not the bottom part of this race, but the bottom part of the salary. Like I think Kaz Gralla is a phenomenal play at $5,100. I think you're going to need him to fit in at all the guys that you want. Realistically, the optimal lineup is probably going to have five guys, 5 out of the 6 that lead laps in this race. So that's what you got to build for. And so when you're going to the bottom of the salary, we're not playing Balicki in the 66. We're playing Kaz Gralla at $5,100. Zane Smith and Harrison Burton also seem like very, very good plays on the day. So like for me, where I'm at is I'm probably going to have one of Zane Smith, Burton, and Kaz Gralla in every single lineup. And I'm leaning a lot towards Kaz Gralla today of just being absolutely over the field on Kaz Gralla. Like I'm tempted to just lock in Kaz Gralla today and not even worry about where I'm at in terms of salary back there. Like, you throw on Kaz Gralla in your lineup, regardless of who else you're using, you're at $8,900 for your remaining players. You throw Larson and Bowman into that, and you're at 83, or you're at 89 for your remaining three drivers. Like I think Kaz Gralla is probably the best play on the slate, just from a lineup construction standpoint. Let's go on, Phila. So like with Larson Hamlin, let's talk about Hamlin really fast in terms of his playoff situation. So the only way he's going to advance is by having a good day on the track. Okay. It's going to be very difficult to purposely chase stage points at Bristol unless we have yellows right before the stage. So I'm not concerned about that. And when you look at like how likely guys are to win, the favorites for me to win this race are Larson, Bowman, Byron, Hamlin, Bell, and then Truex. Those are the order that I have these guys in terms of finishing and stuff, or their likelihood of winning or whatever. But honestly, I like Bell more than Hamlin today. I think the projection between Bell and Hamlin are pretty much identical. Their outcomes are very much identical. I would probably just go with the cheaper play at 10-3. And he's been the more consistent driver of the Joe Gibbs cars this year. Like he has been the best car, Truex at 84, that's a huge, huge discount on Truex. Now, this might be one of his worst tracks, but 84 on Truex, like just for that case, like I think Hamlin is probably my least interested guy from the Joe Gibbs brigade just based on his price tag and stuff. Like it's crazy that Larson is 10-5 and that Hamlin's 11,000. Like Larson should be the most expensive guy here. as we go through and we look at people who can lead laps or be up there or whatever, like Wallace, Chastain, and Gibbs all make a lot of sense to me. Now, yet again, this is all like they just need to get to the lead at some point, some form or fashion, you know. But Wallace, Chastain, and Gibbs are certainly going to be in the conversation to me. And what I'm going to do really fast is let's just highlight the people that I think are actually somewhat in play because let me see. I'll answer your Reddit question in a second. Let's see. I got Todd, Haley. Like I think this is the pool of drivers today. I really do. I really think this is where we're at. Yet again, going back, the reason why I showed my highest projected lineup with Larson, Bell, Byron, and Bowman is because I don't think that works from a like realistic standpoint. Numbers, yeah, sure, whatever. But I just don't think we see, you know, Bowman, Byron, Bell, and Larson all lead. I think, these guys are gonna catalyze each other. And so the main thing today is really diversifying your portfolio. There's not really, yet again, outside of Gralla, like I think Gralla is probably the best player on the slate, honestly. Like if I was gonna lock in one guy, it'd probably be Gralla, and I would just keep on mix and matching guys up top. Um, I guess I could highlight Logano as well. But like for the most part, you can see where this race is going to end up going and playing into these people. You got Gralla, Harrison Burton, Zane Smith, and Jones as pretty much the safest floor drivers. These four drivers are all able to pass at least 10 cars in this race, and they have a real likelihood of all finishing in the top 20. So the likelihood that Jones, Smith, Burton, and Kaz Gralla all fail, or not even all of them fail, I just don't. Let me change that. I don't see a situation where these four drivers are truly failing today. Now, granted, you're not going to play all of them. It's going to come down to whatever is the best, whoever scored the most between these four, or you need construction wise and stuff. But I think these guys are honestly the safest plays. Now, you're not going to play more than one in the lineup, but these are the guys that I would, not even worry about. You start moving up with Haley, Gillen, Keselowski, Logano, Busher, Reddick. Okay. Reddick would probably be the favorite of these individual drivers. Today, because you asked about where I have Reddick finishing. I have Reddick finishing 10th today. The fact that Reddick is 85, real chance he could scrape off. I mean, we're going to have a lot of fast laps and laps led distributed between people today. But realistically, like Reddick is probably going to scrape off at least like 12, 13 fast laps in this race alone. That's going to put him near 43 points. At 85, depending on what other guys in the AK range do, like Reddick has a real chance of just kind of working his way into the optimal, depending on how many 10K guys are in the optimal lineup and stuff. And so when we start ranking these guys, I'm going to give these guys like a yellow because they're in play, but these guys are much more dependent on what they can do and or if they can get to lead. Like, of course, anybody can get to lead or whatever. Same with these guys. This is just going to be, up in the air whether Bowman, Chastain, Gibbs is able to, move in or whatever, or gain enough positions to work their way in. But yeah, like these guys up here are like the true favorites to lead laps today. It's probably going to be two of these five drivers, if not three, but man, three is really starting to push it. I don't know, man. This race is so long and there's so many laps. The projections honestly do not matter. Let's see. Fading the Penske boys state ? By Noah. I don't plan on it. I have Blaney for 43 points. I have Logano for 36. But yet again, these projections literally do not matter today because one, change in pit strategy, one call to get off the standardized strategy, and you end up having somebody stay out and lead, 30, 45 laps or whatnot. That's why I highlighted everybody that I could realistically see doing something just now on here. But I mean, this is Bristol. Like, I would probably cap ownership to any one individual driver at like 40%, 35% if you were doing 20. This is one where you do not want to probably be, I mean, over that range on anybody. This is a race where I'd probably be straight up like 35% Bowman, 35% Larson, 20% Byron, 15 Truex, 25 Bell, 20 Hamlin, so on and so forth. Like I'd go that range. Because when you start looking at what Bristol's able to do, we have a lot of solo winners at this race because of all the fast laps and laps led and how really any combination of people can work out here. Um, that's why for me this is probably my worst statistical, or this is probably my worst track, honestly. Um, just because there's so many different ways to go. And even yesterday, like when you look at yesterday, when you're looking at what exactly happens in those races, like realistically, like I made money. I had no right having as many lineups cash as possible because I played the slate wrong. I had no Justin Allgaier, right? And he was 53% owned. And then Jesus was just like, yeah, no, not today, brother, man. You're not going to have a good race. But like if you played Allgaier, you did it correctly, and you got screwed for it. Sam Mayer, you know, didn't have speed to go up through the field, stayed out, and forced his way to be an optimal because he led those laps. Um, so like when it comes to Bristol, for me, I probably want 3 of these drivers in my lineups with Kaz Gralla, and then like the other 2 guys, I really frankly do not care what my numbers give me. That is my only like rule. Well, it's not even rule, but like the only approach I'm going to be using today, just because you can go everywhere. I'm not playing Suarez. I can tell you that right now. I'm not playing Suarez at 69. Um, Realistically, when you're paying up for so many guys, let's just say, for example, you're using Larson, Hamlin, right? Even Bowman. Leaves you $6,900. Like, since you're punting in this race in the 5K range, you are not ending up in the 6K range. You are not getting to Daniel Suarez. I will not be in the 6K range today. At least the high 6K and like 7K, I will not be in that range today. This is an absolute true stars and scrubs type of lineup, with most likely 2 10K guys, or several 8 and 9K guys with a 10K driver. Like, you are not in the 6K range at all today. That's where I'm at there. I don't know, man. Like, last year, DraftKings did the Survivor for NASCAR for the playoffs, to where, which I'm disappointed they didn't do this year. But this was the race I lost a majority of my lineups in because I just don't know how to build for Bristol at all. I just don't get it. So like, what I want to do really fast is let's take a look at what SaberSim is doing, just to get a feel for like what exactly these like mean projections are even doing. Yet again, this isn't my stuff, but I just want to throw. Also, secondly, for those of you that have SaberSim like through their website, we will get the updated version of SaberSim next week, most likely on Monday or Tuesday. Just in case you're seeing this and you're like, oh man, that's the old school SaberSim. We will get it updated next week. But like, when you look at these lineups and stuff, like, this stuff is so drastically different than mine. And yet again, I just want to do my projected score here for like SaberSim and mean projections are going to start putting so many more like mid-range or not even mid-range, but like guys in the 20s compared to how I would approach it. Like, this is the disaster. I would never play this at all. But like, we're gonna like, here's another 4 with like Blaney and Balicki. At least, I mean, SaberSim is also saying you gotta at least punt with Gralla or Balicki here. But I just don't think these 4 guys in the top 10 lines get it done today. I think it's 3. I really do. And just honestly, projections honestly do not matter today in any form or fashion. Trying to think like other things. Like normally, I mean, we can look at where these guys are at. Like we understand that Larson. I mean, realistically, like Blaney's starting in the mid range or in the in the middle of the field, so he's not needed here. But you look at where Larson, Byron, and Bowman are on these laps. Like these guys are the best cars of the people starting up front. It's gonna. Dude, I'm so conflicted on Byron. Like I don't even know what his projection is. Like I don't even know how to project Byron today because Byron is either going to lead 140 laps or lead nothing. You know, same thing with Larson and Bowman. Like Bowman could get passed by Larson on lap 3 and never sniff the lead again. Um, my main hesitance with the Joe Gibbs guys is this is where Bell is at. This is where Hammonds is at. This is where Truex is at. Like it's concerning. This is Bell. If you're playing Bell and Hamlin, they're not taking the lead before like lap fucking 380. Like there's no way Bell, Hamlin, or Truex even leads in the first two stages. So you're doing that late in the race. Like honestly, we might be on the docket for 2 of the 3 Hendrick guys just leading the entire race and never looking back. And then that build would default to people like Keselowski, Blaney, Logano, Busher getting through because they're just, scraping by and finishing, in the top inside the top 15 and stuff. Um, so I mean that's Bristol. These are always hard to build for because anybody can lead, and if any, yeah, just play all 400 guys. Um, I just don't think I don't like same thing with Elliott. I don't think Elliott does anything today. I got Elliott got him finishing ninth, 15 laps led, and 4 fast laps, 41 5 on his projection. Yet again, it's realistic. Most realistic outcome for Elliott is he scrapes off like 22 fast laps, and that's it for the day on his end. Where does he end up finishing there? Like what does he do? Um, as I talk about this more and more, I think you play Bowman because of the price tag, and then one of Larson and Byron, and then Casgrala and or Saint Smith and Burton. Like those are the only two like true avenues, or the only true things that I have going today. Past that, this race is just going to be all up in the air and all over the place. Um, so sorry that it's not really much of a breakdown today. But when you get a race that has 500 laps, the most volatile race of the NASCAR season from a DFS perspective, of you barely get in the wall, you go 4 laps down, that driver's out of the race. You cannot afford to have any of your guys run into a single issue. Otherwise, you just aren't competing for the optimal at all. Like there's no coming back. You go 2 laps down or whatever, that lineup is fucking toast. I will say I'm probably not playing Hocevar. I'm gonna not play Corey LaJoie. I'm not playing Priest. I'm not playing Gregson. I'm not playing Hemrick. I'm not playing Barry. I'm not playing Cindric. I'm not playing Nemechek. I'm not gonna play Kyle Busch. I'm not gonna play Austin Dillon. Those are guys that I know for the fact, and I'm not playing Chase Briscoe. Those are the people that I know for a fact I'm not going to play. But stuff like that has ruined me before. Like Briscoe, for example, I have um no opinion on him leading laps and stuff, but like, man, 200 guys run issues or run issues on pit lane or whatever. Then Briscoe takes the lead. Like that just you know realistically in the range of outcomes in these races, most of the time we're going to see 4 to 5 main lap leaders. On the extreme side, you can get anywhere from like 8 to 12 and stuff. So that's just how it is. I don't know. I hate Bristol. I hate talking Bristol from like a DFS perspective because it just me running around in circles. But yeah, and I mean, yeah, we can look at like this is why I'm not playing Elliott. Elliott's way down here compared with his teammates. Like, why would I even bother playing Elliott when I could just get the other 300 guys who I know have a good car. Like, so I personally, I'm just not playing Elliott and stuff. But I think that's about all there is. I don't think I'm really offering any assistance. I would be trusting this data point and even the 30 more. Now Blaney falls off here, but I think this is just more so he's in traffic. I'm not really concerned about him falling down as much here. But I mean, this is where we're at, guys. These are the main fast guys in the 25, 30 laps. Like, play the fast guys. This is where the lap leaders are going to come from. That's why I have interest in Bubba Wallace. And his price tag started 11th, basically had a top 7 car throughout the entirety of practice. Does he get the lead? Probably not. It's Bubba Wallace. Does he ever win races? Probably not. It's Bubba Wallace. But like, I'm gonna have Bubba Wallace today just because he's a top 6 car and his price tag is not egregious. Like, I would not be shocked to see realistically like my lineups that I think are going to end up being played today or build wise are probably not going to show up well in a projection based standpoint or even in a Sims result standpoint. But like, a line that makes sense to me would be something like Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Kaz Gralla. Leaves you 96 for your remaining 2 guys. Like, that's the type of build that I'm probably going to end up using today. Stuff that won't necessarily show up on my number-based stuff, but that's like, those are the type of builds that I want to probably end up using in build-wise and stuff like that. Past that, I don't want to waste too much of your time. We were here for 25 minutes. 31 of you guys here on a Saturday. I appreciate it, but it's Bristol. Sorry that the things are very loose and can't really take stands. I think Larson Moment are great plays. I think Kazgrala, Zane Smith, Harris Martin are great plays. You probably want exposure to Larson, Byron, and Moment today. I prefer Bell over Hamlin, but those are mainly my takes. Some of the gives cars weight and go out to play. Yeah, which is good, But also, this is a situation where like okay, just because Bell is like being shown here and like fucking 30th in the 15 lap average, that does not mean we're not going to play. It's Bell starting 5th. Like, Bell's in play, Hamlin's in play. Like, these guys are all in play. Can LaJoy? No, I'm personally not playing LaJoy and Hocevar. That's where I'm at. Do you think that could do anything? Okay, yes, it does have something to do with the times for those drivers, but it's so small. It's not like when we look at Hamlin, like Hamlin, Bell, Truex are going to be in the top 10 all day. It's not about do they stay in the top 10 all day. It's do you get the fucking lead on pit lane? How do you pass the Hendrick guys? If anybody, whoever's controlling the race is going to be off the ball at any given time. Like, that is what we're trying to get to. So, like, as I said, I think if you're playing the Joe Gibbs guys, Truex probably makes the most sense at 8,400. He doesn't necessarily destroy that lineup if he doesn't get the lead, because you're not paying 10,000 for Bell and Hamlin. Hamlin has to run well in order to move on to the playoffs. Like, that's, thank God that we don't have to worry about him chasing stage points and stuff. But like, these are, you most likely want 3 of these guys, 3 of these, what is this? 3 of these 6 in your lines. And just mixing and matching is just gonna get you there. Like, I just have no feel towards any of these guys outside of like, have exposure to them, but I don't have any feel towards any of these guys here. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go because I sound horrific, and it's Bristol. So yeah, best of luck, and see you guys for what is it, Kansas next weekend, whatever. I might do an F1 show later tonight. I might not. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. But best of luck, is Bristol. We'll see what kind of crazy, wild stuff happens in this race. So I will see you guys later.